Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Saturday, I haven't done a video in a couple of days, mainly because I've been just extremely busy with family and things like that. So try to catch up here on things. Heard a lot of comments from you guys, not only Patreon, on Discord, but also on YouTube. What the heck is going on with Bitcoin? Bitcoin's going up in price. Miners are going down in value. What's going on? I'm going to try to explain to you guys at least my thoughts on it. We'll see if those thesis comes true again. But we'll get into that. We also have Hive news a little bit there. We have Marathon news. Mawson, Bitdeer, and I think that's it. And we'll also take a look at the weekly charts for Bitcoin and the miners, see what's going on there, kind of bring it all together for why Bitcoin's up, miners are down, okay? And as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please, please, please do your own research and invest in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It helps me out tremendously. And let's get into it here really quick. So I've said this before, and I've said it in other videos, and I've said it in the comments below as well. But basically what's going on, at least my impression of what's going on, is we're having the same repeat cycle that we had. Maybe not the same, it's a little bit different. But it's a repeat of what we saw last cycle before the halving event, right? So on this chart that we're looking at right now, we're looking at the halving event, which is this nice red line here, which was right around May 19th, May 20th, somewhere around there. We had that halving event of last, which was in 2020. A year prior to that, if we look back to May of 2019, you can see here based on this chart, and we're looking at Hut 8, Bitfarms, Riot, and Marathon. Those were the ones that were still publicly traded at that time, right? And how they acted and how Bitcoin acted. So a year prior to the halving event, we saw Bitcoin go up 31% in that time frame before the halving event, while the miners were actually down 26% for Hut 8. Riot was down 50%, you could say. Bitfarms was down 62%. Marathon was down 78%. Right, we're kind of seeing the same thing happening right now, but we're just seeing it 9 months ahead of the halving event instead of a full year. We'll take a look at the chart that we have here for what's going on right now in the last basically a year or 9 months before the halving event that we're in right now. But this is kind of what's I think is happening. The reason it's happening is I think it's pretty simple, right? When the halving event happens, miner profits are going to get cut in half, smashed in half, whatever you want to call it. They're going to be basically decimated at that point unless Bitcoin goes up in value. The only thing that's going to stop that from happening with the miners continuing to go down even lower, maybe possibly, or at least trending this way for a while, maybe they won't go down too much further, but they're definitely going to be depressed compared to Bitcoin is obviously the spot Bitcoin ETF. If that gets approved before the end of this year or even before the halving event, that's obviously going to offset what we had previous cycles, or at least the one cycle that we did have, where Bitcoin is definitely going to start going up quite nicely. Miners should at that point follow as well. Another question that I had from you guys was, where does Bitcoin need to be in order for the miners to go up in value? I would say probably above 40,000, 50, 60,000. I think at that point, the miners would actually go back up, right? So that would coincide with the Bitcoin spot ETF. If that gets approved, we know Bitcoin's probably going to go up. Other than that, Bitcoin still can continue going up. My original prediction, thesis, whatever you want to call it, at the beginning of the year was for Bitcoin to end up around 38,000 by December, sometime in December. We seem to be like we're possibly on that track right now. We're at 30,000 right now. We'll see if we get close to that. We could be a little bit above it. We could be a little bit below it. But I was looking at the charts of historical charts on Bitcoin price appreciation, percentages, things like that. And I came up with 38,000 was kind of where I was looking for Bitcoin to be at the end of the year. And we're pretty close. We're only 8,000 away from that. We'll see if we can continue to get a little bit of a continuation in the appreciation like we saw this cycle or last cycle actually. Going into this cycle, and if that happens, obviously things will kind of work out the way I thought they were going to work out. But the big elephant in the room is obviously the spot Bitcoin ETF. If that gets approved, well, we could be going much higher. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on here this year, right? So, well, let's take a look at where we were with the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners a year after the halving event. So you can see here last time after that happened, the miners kind of peaked here. Well, some of them peaked, some of them didn't, but Marathon was up almost 2,500% up. Bitfarms was up 1,000%. Riot was up 900%. Let me see here. Hut 8 was up 264%. Bitcoin looks like it was up 259% or something like that. No, Bitcoin was up 229%. I think this is Bitfarms or somebody else. Who else do we have in here? So we got Riot. Marathon was maybe up. No, Marathon was up here. Bitfarms, Riot, Hut. I don't know who that is. Up 250%. But we were up much higher at different points. But towards the end of the year, that's kind of where we ended up at. And that's kind of what I'm expecting to see again this cycle after the halving event, potentially. Maybe not such high percentages, but definitely somewhere around here, 10x, 5x, something like that, 15x, depending on the miner, okay? Now, if we scroll all the way through here to where we are right now, and let's see here. There we go. So we're right here. Let me see. We're going to have the halving event in April of next year. So if we look at April, this is December, January, February, March, April is right around here. Let's see it. March, February, March, April. Okay, so we're right around here. April, I think it's going to be like April 20th or something like that. That's the 6th, 12th, went too far, 27th, 24th, 22nd. Okay, so you can see here that we've had a pretty good rally here in Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners the first 6 months of the year, which is kind of what we saw last time around as well, and then things started going down south. We peaked with, who was this? Hut 8 was up 110% here, looks like, from just April of this year to July. We had other miners up pretty nicely as well. Other miners did obviously better from the beginning of the year when we look at it, but this is how things have stacked up so far. And then we've obviously seen a decline happening here after July. Miners are way down. And if we go back to July, where we had the peak here, which was on July 14th for most of the miners, we can see here, let's see here where we at. July 17th, 13th, that's 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay, so right around there. You can see that Bitcoin is only down from that point, from somewhere in the middle of July, is down 2.17%. Bitfarms is down 44%, Riot is down 49%, Hut 8 is down 50%, Marathon is down 53%. We can also include some other miners now, because we do have those in here. We can include, let's include Bitdeer, BTDR, I believe, Bitdeer. Let's add them in there as well. We can include CleanSpark, CLSK as well in here. Let's add in also, what else do we have? Iris Energy, Iron, some of the big guys at least. Same as Scale. And then you can see how things have actually shaken up. So let's see here. Iris Energy is down 48%, Marathon's down 49%. Let's see, CleanSpark's only down 27% from that time frame, which was right around here in the middle of July. Let's see if we go back over this way a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I think that's it. Wednesday, July 12th. Okay. So Bitdeer is down 74% from there. CleanSpark is down 38%, almost 40%, but Bitcoin is only down 1.54%. So we're still seeing that same kind of trend happening here before the halving event as we saw last time around. Now, like I said, the only thing that's going to change is if we get a spot Bitcoin ETF, and if that happens, well, then these numbers will definitely change to the upside. But until that happens, I expect either the miners to be kind of floating around this range, underperforming Bitcoin, and the reason is obviously the halving event where the revenue gets decimated on the miners by half, right? So that's the only reason why I think Bitcoin is doing what it's doing and the miners are doing what they're doing. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree or disagree on that, but that's my thesis on it as far as why things are happening the way they are, okay? Now, if this does continue on, obviously, until the end of, well, not the end of next year, but into the halving event, I think it's a great time to dollar cost average in. You're going to get a heck of a lot more shares of the miners than you would after the halving event, I think, going forward. And it's going to be definitely tough to trade them as far as day trading them, trying to figure out which way they're going to go, because it's going to be really unpredictable right now until the halving event, okay? But that's it on that one. All right, let's take a look at the charts for the weekly here. This coincides with what we've been talking about as well. So if we look at the charts here, these are what we usually look at on the weekly performance for Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin itself. The first chart here is obviously how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows, how far away they are from their 52-week highs on the bottom here. So you can see that Bitcoin here is only 6.7% away from its 52-week high, and it's up 90% right now from the 52-week low that it's had. Other miners have done better here, but we're starting to see a couple miners here, Sphere, Mawson, Bitdeer, obviously being down more, or not performing quite as well as Bitcoin has been on it. Others have done fairly well, a little bit better than Bitcoin, and then others have done really well. Core, we know, was in bankruptcy, Chapter 11. They're getting out of it. They were decimated in the beginning of the year, right on 4, 5, 6, 7 cents, something like that, where they ended up, and then they had nice bounce. That's the reason why they're up so much right now, okay? So that's the way things look at it. If we look at the chart here, we'll go through this relatively quickly here. We can see here that last week, this is not, this would be the current week that we've just finished here. So this is for last week. The current week we finished, we can see Sphere had a great week. Bitcoin is up 10% on the week. The only ones that did better are DigiHost, CleanSpark, DMG, and then everybody else has done worse. If we look at the 4-week chart here, we can see Bitcoin's up 10.3% from 4 weeks ago. And the only ones that have done better than that is Sphere 3D still. Sphere 3D was decimated also because lack of growth. There's concerns for them, obviously. And we were just seeing like how do I put this? Investors are looking for very low priced miners that could possibly pop. Okay, so that's why that one's up the way it is, I believe. And then we got Cypher here up 11.59%, Mawson up 20%, another case like that as well, because that's been decimated here. If we go further out, then everybody else has done worse than Bitcoin. Go 8 weeks out, you can see that Bitcoin is still up 15.05% from 8 weeks ago. The only miner that has done better is Sphere 3D. Reasons known why this one's done better. Everybody else has done worse here. And then we go out 12 weeks. You can see that Bitcoin's up 2% while everybody else is down, well, 30%, 40%, 25%, 50%, 65%. So you're getting the picture here of how things have acted here in the last 12 weeks. And we're seeing that continuing on here, it looks like. Now, how long is it going to take? Don't know. Bitcoin spot ETF obviously could change things for us. But until that happens, I'm guessing we're going to probably see the continuation of this until the halving event happens. And then at that point, we may start to turn around a little bit depending where Bitcoin price goes at that time frame. Okay? So let me know what you guys think. And then let's get into some of the news that we do have here on a couple of miners. We'll go through this relatively quickly here, and we'll call it a day. Didn't want to start with this one. We'll start out with Hive. You guys can read all this stuff. I think some of this stuff is pretty good here. Hive Digital is now a NVIDIA CSP partner and announces GPU grants for open source AI developers. I think this is actually pretty good. If they're doing it, it's actually pretty smart. Get developers on board to help them kind of work out the kinks, maybe a little bit with their system, how things operate, their software stack, everything else to basically access the AI side of things. And they're offering, I believe, 10,000 hours, and you can send in applications for your AI projects, whatever those might be. They'll get chosen by the Hive team, obviously, and then you can deploy your systems on there. And so I think it's actually pretty good. A good way to work out the kinks, work out the bugs, get everything ready for, possibly having paying customers on this as well. They do have some paying customers already, but this was obviously a nice added bonus to it to kind of help out the community as well. So this is all good. Another news bit here is a video from Hive Digital Technologies, high performance computing expansion, solidifying Bitcoin investment appeal, CEO video clips. So this is the CEO, Aiden. It's just him talking about what they're doing, things like that. Go ahead and check it out. It's not that long. I think it's only like a minute 30 or something like that. I'm not getting into it here as well. And then let's take a look at Bitdeer here. Bitdeer announces new 2 million share repurchase program. This is great. I think this is just them trying to stop the bleeding of their stock price right now. I mean, stock price has been coming down. If we look at it, I mean, we can see it on the previous chart, which was over here. Bitdeer is down 65% in the last 12 weeks, right? So they're trying to definitely stop the bleeding here. $2 million basically equates to about 650,000 shares, something like that, roughly. So drop in the bucket compared to the amount of shares that they do have, which is over 100 million right now. But it is obviously a good gesture, I guess you could say, on their part. Okay. Next, Marathon Digital Holdings adds new enterprise-grade Bitcoin custodian to begin diversifying its Bitcoin custody. I think this is good. Obviously, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket because if something happens, somebody gets hacked, whatever, you lose all those coins. So here's what Marathon had to say. As Marathon continues to increase its hash rate, it has grown its Bitcoin holdings to 13,726 as of September 30th. In September 2023, the company produced 1,242 Bitcoin, representing 4.3 of the available rewards for all Bitcoin miners during the month. Historically, Marathon has custodied all of its Bitcoin with a single provider. Right, not a good thing to do usually. As part of its broader treasury management strategy, the company has added a new enterprise-grade custodian. As its second custodian, Marathon may continue to diversify its Bitcoin custody across additional custodians in the future. So I think this is good. Right, not putting all the eggs you have in one basket is definitely a good thing, because if you spread it out across maybe 2, 3, 4, something like that, if one gets hit, okay, you're going to take 0.25% or a quarter of your Bitcoins. Plus, I think they should be insured on that, so you really shouldn't be losing it. At least the value, you shouldn't be losing it with a custodian. So I think this is definitely a good thing there, and we'll just have to see how they continue to grow. Okay, so that's it for that one. And then Mawson provided us with an update here. They had a correction here. Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. executes customer co-location agreement. This is pretty simple. They definitely needed this, and it's going to be a help to them, obviously. But here's basically what they're providing. Mawson to provide consensus with co-location services for approximately 15,876 Bitmain and miners S19 XPs. These are the 141 terahash miners. So they had a correction on that number and their fine print, I guess you could say. But this is definitely good. They got one of their other customers had left. They were looking for other customers to come on board, and they finally got one to get some miners installed there. It's about 50 megawatts of electricity usage there. So this is good there for them. It will help them out, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to help them get past the halving event. So we'll take a look at the numbers that we do have here for them here in a second here. So the update for September, they're always late to provide the updates. That's why they're never in my metrics or best miners sheets or anything like that, because they're always late. They're always on like the 20th or something like that. That's way too far. That's 3 weeks out after it. It shouldn't be that difficult to figure out how many machines you had, how much you mined. You should be able to have that within the first 5 days. Ideally, you want to have that within the first 2 days. That way you can see how well you're doing compared to the other miners. But nonetheless, we do have the update here, and here's what we have. Let's see here. It was down here. Unaudited September monthly production operations results summary. Total power capacity was approximately 109 megawatts with capacity for approximately 35,480 miners. Self-mining Bitcoin production month over month increased to 89. So that was good. Total self-miners hashing at the end of September increased 7% month over month to approximately 16,730. And then revenue was approximately 2.33 million, given the increased network difficulty rate and lower average Bitcoin prices during the month or the period. And then the energy market program monthly revenue increased 17% month over month to approximately 170,000, I guess you could say. So that is it. Let's take a look at the numbers I have for them. We'll talk about a little bit as far as some numbers that we have for them. So Mawson, and I believe I got this all updated. I did. Okay. So they got about 16.5 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at 10.9 million. They're being priced right now like if they were to go out of business, basically, before the halving event or sometime during the halving event. Current hash rate, I have them at 1.4. They have miners enough to get them to 1.8 roughly. So a little bit of growth left, not much. You can see that their performance here in the last 12 weeks hasn't been that great, especially going back to 12 weeks. They're down 57 from that point. They're down 8.3 from 8 weeks ago. From 4 weeks ago, they're actually up. So people are buying them basically because of, well, bottom fishing, I guess you could say, hoping that the stock actually rebounds and you could have definitely, instead of a 5x or a 10x, you could get a 15 or 20x return on that possibly. That's the reason why. And then you can see their BTC production here has been improving, not as much as I would like to see it, but it has been improving nonetheless. Their month-over-month difference in BTC production here. BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything, at least they don't report it. I think they sell everything. Bitcoin's per exahash efficiency has been improving as well, so that's good there. BTC sold basically whatever they mine. Looking at the hash rate here, hash rate has been pretty stuck here at 14 or 1.46 exahash right now for the last 4 months, it looks like. The revenue has been kind of going up as Bitcoin price has been going up. It's down a little bit here in September from August. And you can see their hash rate difference here from month to month. BTC sold value, how much they're selling approximately. And then last 4 quarters of revenue. Current quarter estimated, which finished in September, was an estimated 6.87 million, which is an increase, so that's good. It has been increasing. And then operating costs here, we talked about in the quarterly. Cost of mine per 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation was 18.4, so definitely on the high side for them. Their Bitcoin mine quarterly has been increasing. We'll see what Q3 brings in us at. Debt to equity ratio is, let me see, I think this one lower is better, so that's not good there. Current ratio also higher, should be better there. And then total current assets, you can see here that 15.6 million total current assets. Total current liabilities at the end of Q2 was 47.89 million. I definitely want to see how they have managed to pay this down, especially in Q3 as they get into the closer to the halving event. If they weren't able to pay this down substantially, there's some obviously concerns here. The only option they have is possibly to dilute shares, which obviously they can because they have a lot of shares, or not a lot of shares. They got 16.5 million. They can definitely dilute, but I'm sure it's not going to be appreciated by the shareholders. Okay. Institutions and analyst ratings here. We got 18, still the same thing that we had last month, so no change in that. Still buy rating and 1 hold rating. Price target of $3, average $2, low $1 for them. And then looking at the number of miners that they had basically operating this month in September, they were operating for about 26, almost 27 days on average for the miners that they do have installed right now. Okay. So they're getting better on the efficiency side of things. They were at 25, 20 days here. They were at 19 days, 25 days. So as the cooler months are approaching, they are getting a little bit more efficient as far as their uptime is. They're not having to basically shut off miners to curtail. We're not getting into financials here, but based on this information that I do have them at right now, 2,053 cents to $3.80 potentially. They're currently at 66 cents. I would say they're undervalued, but based on the amount of debt that they have, their market cap is where it's at. They're being priced, like I said, of going out of business basically, or being taken over by somebody else. At this point, it seems. The only thing they can really do is, like I said, dilute, possibly pay off the debt, and then figure out a way to grow before that event, because if they don't grow, they're definitely going to be in a lot of pain there. That's just my opinion here. And then looking forward to the next 12 months, basically 6 months before the halving event, 6 months after the halving event, or 5 months, I think we're actually looking at. Let me see here. October, where do we have that at? Before I make a mistake saying you guys, okay, yeah, we're still 6 months out. Basically, we're getting closer to 5 months out, but we're still at 6 months here in October. That's good. I have them at possibly 319 to 478 if all things were equal. Obviously, all things are not equal. The debt has to get taken care of. The hash rate growth has to continue to grow into it, but they have been improving as far as efficiency, uptime, and revenue has been improving as well, production as well. So they are doing quite a few good things, but that debt is just driving me nuts there. If they didn't have that debt, they'd be in a much better position, I think, and they'd be definitely much better priced. So we are where we are with them right now as it is. All right, let me know what you guys think of Mawson, obviously, on that one, if any of you guys are invested in them or not. And I think we'll call it a day. So we'll see how things work out with Bitcoin here going forward. Bitcoin right now is, yeah, I mean, it's just hovering right around the 30,000 mark, which is kind of our resistance line here. Let me get rid of some of these things here. Hut 8, Bitfarms Riot, Marathon, Bitdeer, Clean Spark, Iris Energy. Okay, so here's Bitcoin right now. If we put in the daily lines here, we put in the weekly lines as well, we can see that we obviously bounced off of the weekly 200 moving average here. Bounced off of that. We went past our past resistance, which was at 28,600. We're above that now, and we've been at the 30,000 mark here a couple of times here already. We'll see if we can manage to get above it. One thing is the RSI is kind of high here on the daily right now. We may come down a little bit here, have the RSI at least go sideways while the RSI kind of breathes a little bit before we possibly go back up. If not, we're definitely going to be testing this 28,600 as our support line. If that holds, if that doesn't hold, we'll be coming back down to our 200 weekly moving average after that, and we'll see how things progress going forward. But like I said, my thoughts are Bitcoin could possibly go up slowly higher, closer to like the 38,000, 40,000 mark by the end of the year. And the miners could still trade sideways, if not go down a little bit more before the heavy event. All right. So let me know what you guys think. As always, the spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members. I got to also provide the YouTube members here with all this stuff, screenshots of all the dashboards, and that'll be done today. I promise I'll get that done sometime today. And then what else do we have here? Patreon members, yeah. Great content as far as contributions from everybody from the members in the Discord channel as well. We got a lot of great discussions there with a lot of great people that are in there as well. So that's always fun in there. That's only $5 a month right now, and 10% discount if you join for a full year. So that's it. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see what happens over this weekend, if anything. If not, I'll see if I can come up with some other metrics to go by for tomorrow's video. If not, we'll do one on Monday, see what happens then. All right. So have a great weekend. I'll see you guys then.